we're gonna dive into their success. And if you are on social, please do jump online and share out #Clash10, #SydneyIncubate, and then we'll be able to see it and promote that as well. Otherwise, if you want to include us in anything, you can tag us, or you can tag myself if you've got any comments or feedback or abuse, it's fine. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the panel, and then we're going to jump into the pitches. Please make our panelists feel welcome. Ali, Olga, and Reza, come on stage. Don't fall off stage. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So as you can see here, we've actually got the classes that they came from. So Ali in the middle here is class 3. Olga was class 6, and Reza, you're class 8. So it's kind of like gives you an idea. What year was class 3, Ali?
It was 2013. I'm looking at my hair actually there. In the photo.
That's an original photo from that class. So 2013. There you go. Why don't we kick off with a short pitch? So let's just jump in. A short pitch of your business, who you are, and what's your company.
I have to speak through. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Yeah, awesome. So hi, my name is Reza, and I'm one of the co-founders of Wipe Hero. At Wipe Hero, we've developed a technology that allows us to wash any vehicle at any time without a single drop of water. And because we can fit that technology in people's backpacks, we can basically come to you and wash your car on the spot instead of you going to a car wash and wasting your time and our precious water resources on car washing.
Cool. Ali.
I'm Ali. I'm one of the co-founders of Triumph. Basically, Triumph, this is this injectable liquid that wherever you inject it to, you can regenerate that tissue. We showed that we can make bone, cartilage, muscle, and skin. Obviously, it's a startup company, biomed biotech company. We have our production facility in Sydney, and basically that's it.
Cool. And
yeah,
Olga.
Hello everyone. Yeah, my name is Olga. I'm CEO and co-founder of Porcello. So Porcello is an instant checkout e-commerce platform for brands and influencers who are looking to monetize the social media content, right? So we have a technology that allows click-through payments straight from social media posts. Yeah, very briefly.
Fantastic. So we've got online e-commerce payments, biotech, and a marketplace, essentially. So this is pretty diverse, as the businesses that we'll be pitching tonight are. It's pretty indicative of actually Incubate, generally. I asked you guys to think about a question, and that question was, why is it important to support student entrepreneurs, given that we're at university and you were students when you came through? So tell us, Olga, do you want to kick off? Just in
Yeah. So just reflect back when we entered Incubate, right? So at that time I was doing my PhD at University of Sydney, and I remember another co-founder is as well alumni at University of Sydney. So we had this, we saw Incubate as a kind of amazing opportunity how we can make our idea happen in real world. So I think that was really empowering and amazing. So I believe, and I'm sure you'll ask me about that being an international student as well at university and being able to see successful stories and seeing the support of university to kind of do something in real industry, that was really empowering at that time. So that's definitely an amazing thing for any students to have this opportunity, right? So that's why it's going so well now. You have 8 classes and yeah.
I think me too, I was also a researcher, PhD student at university here at Sydney University. I think we have enough professors and postdocs and everything. So I think it's a time to get a bit of from a different pathway, and that's essentially making employments through a small startup company. So for us, for example, we're just 2 years old. We're just a very, very tiny startup, but we already have 4 or 5 people full-time, part-time employed by us, including myself and my co-founder. So it is very important to give that sort of a way of thinking and mentality to people with different backgrounds, both researchers, bachelors, and so on and so forth. So I think it's just an option. It's not an option. It's a necessity that needs to bring on that sort of skills to people in universities.
Yeah, that's obviously actually super interesting. The idea that it's not an option. It's
not
like
an
you
option.
should have it. You should have that pathway by default. It shouldn't be a thing that you go, oh, let's just add on some entrepreneurship as well. It's like, no, that is a pathway, and that's something that's changed as well. That's what we've seen as too.
Exactly. So like, just to add something. So I've been at university for like what? For like 8 years, 9 years. And the first time that I joined the INCUBATE program, like the business language was just like a Mandarin to me. I couldn't understand even a single language. That was embarrassing, but that's the reality.
You should have seen Ali's first pitch. If you've ever seen a researcher present their research, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it is so different to go, okay, now cut it down to 4 minutes in a way that anyone can understand.
I was introducing myself in 4 minutes. So.
Yeah, that's right. Reza.
Cool, yeah. I think there's two main things for me personally. And the first reason why it's really important to support these people is because corporates are doing a crap job at, they're great at, they're sort of like, we've got the oil on the ground, someone else has drilled the hole and they've built the refineries around it. But they're really crap at drilling more holes to, find more oil. And I think that's why it's a necessity to do that, because they're not building the stuff that we need for the future. Second of all, they're really crap at hiring talented people. Give you an example, I applied for 300 jobs and I got rejected from all of them. So, and I think it's, but at the same time, universities are providing that, research, learning, and it's not really connecting to industry. So it's good to have that in between, and it should be mandatory. It should be part of, the course that, someone goes through. But, at the moment it isn't, so you need that extra push to connect to researchers, to the outside world.
So how did you guys actually, so one of the big things for us is we get a lot of students come to us and like, oh, I got this idea, and we're like, great, that's lovely. What are you going to do about it? Because, ideas are cheap, ideas are free. Execution can get very expensive. What was the moment when you kind of stumbled upon the ideas you're working on now, the businesses you're working on now, the problems you're trying to solve? Was there a moment when you're like, oh, this is a really interesting problem, why hasn't anyone solved this? Or was it when you saw the opportunity that you're pursuing right now?
Who's going?
Yeah, you want to start with me, yeah? Okay, so for us, when we were starting, so we have a technology product, right? So we develop a software. I was the only non-technical co-founder in the team, so we had 4 co-founders from the beginning. Today we have 11 people working for Per Solo. So at that time, I was the only one who had no idea how to build products.
And the interesting thing, just to jump in there, was where were the other 2 co-founders?
So I'm originally from Ukraine, right? And we had the 2 other co-founders basically based in Ukraine, and they're still based in Ukraine.
And when they were coming through the program, what was happening in the city that they were based in?
Yeah. So our guy, if you have heard, we have a war condition in Ukraine, and they are from that specific region, from eastern Ukraine, where basically, the whole conflict unfolded at that time. And 2 years ago, it was really a hot zone, so guys had to relocate at that specific time as well. So they moved to Kiev, basically to the Ukrainian part of Ukraine, because we had division between who is Ukrainian, who is not, and they had to basically move, and it's all politics, right? But it was a kind of turbulence for us as well, because they are the one who developed the product. So we basically, we just made the idea happen. We thought, okay, guys had the idea. I thought, okay, my background in research and working for big international marketing agencies, when I worked for FMCG and fashion brands. So my experience in the sector of fashion, FMCG, and beauty, I can apply this to the product. So we basically, what happened is guys developed the MVP first, and it happened during INCUBATE. We basically took the idea here and pitched it to James, to INCUBATE, right? And they loved it, and this is how it all started. So we just basically jumped into this. And INCUBATE was the first jump how we started.
And you guys, so there's 2 things that's super interesting. We do weekly update meetings inside the program. And in this case, we had your two co-founders in Ukraine, and we're like, this is like a war zone. Like, are you guys safe? like, you know, we want you to sprint and like move fast, but at the same time, you know, can you actually code where you are? Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of convey that, but that was what it was 2 years ago. And then, so you started with no customers, and then what happened by the end of it? Like, what was your traction by the end?
Yeah, so we entered Incubate with just basic idea and front page. So there was no backend, right, to our product at that time when we entered Incubate. But we had expression of interest on this front-end page, right? So we kind of run the test, we saw people wanted that, and we entered Incubate to build the whole product. So basically build the whole idea, the first MVP, a crappy one, whatever it was, but it was built during Incubate, right? With the 5,000 funding at that time. I'm not sure how much you give now.
It's still 5K.
Still fast, okay. Yeah, but for us it was possible because guys, so we basically moved the money back to Ukraine, and for Ukraine at the time it was a big money and still is, right? Yeah, so we managed to build MVP with that resources that you had.
Cool.
And during the program, we got our first clients as well. So I think our good strategy is that as long as we have a crappy version of anything, we quickly roll it out. You know, we test it straight away. So we had first customers, during Incubate, and we had traction. So that was awesome. Yeah, we had a lot of pivots after Incubate, but yeah, at that time we had traction, we have transactions coming, and product was working at the end with customers,
Cool. Ali, how did you come across your opportunity? Because not every day someone goes, hey, I'm going to invent this, you know, injectable gel that regrows cells.
I was actually lucky about it. There is some sort of like a personal connection with it because like ages ago I had a wrist fracture and I ended up doing open surgery. And on the spot, when they said that you need to do the open surgery, I asked my surgeon, why didn't you glue my wrist? And he said that we don't have a glue. Lucky me, the whole things went around a circle. I ended up coming to Sydney University and doing the research on pretty much the same topic. And moving the actual PhD projects towards that bone glue that I had a bit of a personal connection with it. So from a research point of view, the story starts 2007 in London when I had a wrist fracture.
Cool. And then when did you actually do the first animal trial? Like once going like fast forwarding to first animal, what year was that?
So I started the PhD on my PhD in 2009, and the first animal, like we invented it here at Sydney University towards the end of 2009, and the first animal trial was 2010. So three years after 2010, 2011, 3 years and a bit from the idea to the actual animal study.
Wow, that's fast.
Faster than that is then from that point to the first in-man trial. So then cooperating TRIMF back in 2015, and then having the first in-man trial early this year. So
and what's an in-man? Just in case I don't know, what's that?
So it means that like essentially trying to treat a human with TRIMF. So that's
a human application. So it's actually a human trial.
Yes, exactly, human trial.
Cool.
Clinical trial.
And that just kicked off this year.
Yeah,
fantastic.
April this year.
Wow, that's really good. Congratulations.
Cheers.
That's huge. Why Piro?
The story behind Wiper is that, Farid, my co-founder, he had been in the development of the technology, the product itself, with his dad for a few years. So, they'd come up with a product that can clean a car without a single drop of water. And it was a very special polymer that was, 100% biodegradable. I think initially a lot of effort was put into selling the product, and then once we, turned it into service, that's when we started seeing the fruits come, started seeing the business being a little bit more fruitful.
And just to add into that, actually, so not many people know that his co-founder, Farid, is Farid in the room, actually? Is he here?
He's sitting in the back.
He's in the back somewhere? Okay, good. There he is. Hi, Farid. Farid actually was a student coordinator which is basically like a student intern in Incubate. And so he helped us out do a program, and then he came to us and he's like, hey, I've kind of invented this thing, right, which is the polymer, which allows you guys wash cars without water. And we're like, okay, that's cool. And what does it do? Like, allows you to wash cars without water. I'm like, great, it's cool. Go sell it. And he's like, well, I don't want to just like put it on a shelf. And then he kind of developed, and then you guys started chatting, and then it went from there. And so we've actually seen it from the very first idea to what are you now? Like, just give us a couple of metrics right now.
So 12 people in the office, 30 people on the road washing cars.
And how many
we're
cars
growing
a month?
20% a month, every single month.
So 20% month to month.
Yep.
And how many cars this last month did you wash?
3,000 cars a month.
3,000 across how many cities?
Sydney and Melbourne.
See Melbourne. Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The US is next, so.
And how old is your company now?
1 year, actually. 1.5 years. Eh?
Congratulations. So when you have your 5th year birthday, how many cars do you want to wash? I'm just going to put you on the spot here.
Probably be dominant in Australia, definitely, and then be very competitive overseas.
Good. That's what I want to hear. So sorry, continue with your story. So
Yeah,
when
so-
did you actually know? Yeah. When did you,
So, you never know. There's not like really
Yeah.
an aha moment. Oh, shit, this actually works. I think it's the right balance of pushing and pushing and pushing and not pushing too much on your ridiculous ideas. And, because you always have, several things that are going at the same time. And for example, when we started, we were pushing a lot on the consumer side. And we were like, we want more customers. We want more consumer people to come on board. But basically that didn't make any, financial or business sense because, the unit economics of these guys initially, it was so hard to get to that point where, we had enough density where the unit economics made sense. So we had to either, have $2 million in the bank or basically not do it. And then we started looking at, where the problem really sits, and we thought about, so you just imagine if you've got 1 or 2 cars, it's annoying enough to drive to a car wash and, come back, and that wastes a whole lot of your time. Now just imagine if you're a fleet manager where you've got 500 cars. We've got
so like a Hertz or something.
Yeah, so Hertz, go get. You've got 1,000 cars that need to be constantly maintained. And so the moment for us where we were like, okay, we can see this working was when we actually started talking to these guys and they were like, this is exactly what we need. A
Right.
car wash that can wash a ton of cars in scale.
And how did you find your first car manager? Your first customer?
You guys love, us
I love
mentioning
this because we hammer it home every single time a startup comes into our program. How did you
cold
find it?
calling.
Picks up a phone.
Yeah. So even to this day, most of our clients come through cold calling.
Right. So it's not some fancy Facebook ad or what have you.
Yeah. We spent pretty much $0 on marketing on the B2B side, on the business side.
Sure, you just got to call them up.
Yep.
Ali, how did you know this was a good opportunity to pursue? Because if we kind of go back to 2013, and you've got to remember 2013 was not like this. It was not packed. There were not a huge amount of people interested in entrepreneurship, let alone people that were promoting you to actually start a biotech company in Australia at university. How did you know this was an opportunity you needed to pursue?
So first thing first, I'm still not sure whether it was a good idea or not. So that's the first thing to say. And then the second thing was, it was totally different. I know I'm a grandpa here, I guess. But it was different. Like everyone was saying, "Are you stupid that you're giving up pretty much a full-time job at university and wants to do something that basically everyone was saying that there's no future for it." And I'm still trying to make that future out of it. But yeah, it was a different culture. It was absolutely different culture. Everyone, even people that they pretend to know the entrepreneurial part of the things. IT was where they stopped. They didn't think about biomed, biotech. That was something that, like, you're stupid. Don't do it. Don't do this to your life. And it became more stupid when I started talking about the fact that, like, I was using my saving to pay for lawyers because I needed to negotiate with university to get my patents outside universities, to get the exclusive license from the patents outside university. So it was a hard decision, and like there were so many people out there saying that don't do it, don't do this to your life. And I'm still trying to understand whether they were right or not, but so far so good.
And when you say so far so good, tell us when did you find some people that would back you and like that moment?
Yeah, so I pitched a lot. I pitched to so many people, and like even overseas, Europe, San Francisco. But like the time that I realized that I can do something was the time that I start pitching to high net individuals here, especially in Sydney, and that was, I think, something that was missed during my initial period of trying to raise, I was thinking about like angel investors, I was thinking about VCs. I was too early for both of them. When I start pitching to high net individuals, that was a point that they start thinking the merits in the technology, the potential in the technology. They put their money, and the first time that I raised $1.5 million through to high net individuals, and they've been supporting my company in the past 2 years. So that was a moment for me.
Fantastic.
And when I'm saying like 1.5, anything around like less than 5 million for biomed biotech is nothing.
Yeah.
It just goes like this.
Yeah. Raising capital is hard, full stop. Raising capital for biotech, even more difficult. Globally. It's just not something someone out of uni generally does.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to change gear just slightly and ask you, what was one of the most valuable pieces of advice you have received in the last few years, well, since starting a business? Reza, you can go.
Okay, do you think I will say?
I was thinking to volunteer.
Actually, the best advice was to not take everyone's advice. So.
Right. And what do you mean? Unpack that a bit more.
So obviously, when you're working in a startup, like when I was starting a car washing. So just to give you a bit of background, I came to Australia to do my masters, went to the US to do my PhD, dropped out halfway through, started my first startup in San Francisco, didn't go well, came back to Sydney, and I started a car washing business. So, my mum was crying. Everyone else was like, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this? So it's really hard to filter out, the voices that you should not be listening to at the time and pushing through that period of time until and trying to get trying to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Yep. And there's one or two people that might be screaming, saying, hey, come, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And try to listen to those very few people.
I like that analogy of the few people that get what you're doing, and then the most of them that don't.
Very few people will get what you're doing.
And that's the thing I tell students is that's actually a good thing, right? Because it's a bit of a paradox, but the best opportunities are one that most people don't see. And so if most people can't see it, then most people will tell you that's really silly. And so it's kind of one of those interesting quirks of just the territory. Yeah. What was the most valuable piece of advice you received, Ali?
Try, at least you will learn something. That's the way that I look at it. Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it. You will learn something. And that's what I'm doing. I'm learning things every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most valuable advice, which we are pursuing until today, is to get your first customers as soon as possible. I think they'll be your driver of the business, of the insights, where you have to go, the needs they have. So I think, Nick here would be, right, the evangelist of this approach, right, that you should get your first customers as soon as possible. So with us, for example, we had the idea initially that, how about to give people, basically anyone, the opportunity to sell stuff without having e-commerce complicated websites and shopping carts, right? So that was the initial idea. But as soon as we rolled out the product, we had small merchants on platform, we had different categories on the platform. Someone was selling Japanese teas through Persolo. Someone was selling, fashion brands, jewelry. So we had very diverse group, and it was really hard to focus on something specific. We were criticized a lot that we were so defocused in the beginning, and that's the main thing here, is to listen to your customers. And I think turning point for us as well was when bigger brands came to us and they told us, guys, what you're doing, you're actually optimizing conversion. So you're driving sales from social media, in which we're heavily investing, but we don't see any ROI, any sales, nothing in return. And then we said, okay, that's untapped opportunity. And we started running trials in this area. And that's what dictated our product and the business model today, because we just listen, we try to follow what our customers want, and that's what brings us, the revenue and money ideas where to head further.
Gotcha. Listening to your bigger customers that actually wanted the product.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. I have a specific question this is for Olga or Reza, either one you can answer. We see, and you'll see in the booklets, we actually see a lot of international students come through our program, or people that have not grown up in Australia, residents that haven't grown up here. What's it like starting a business in a place that you didn't actually grow up in?
I mean, the biggest challenge is really English. I mean, my English might sound very fine, but I've actually only been in Australia for 6 years.
Okay.
So initially when you come here, and so I came from Iran, so I had a lot of massive Iranian/American accent, and then all of a sudden trying to understand the Australian accent was hard enough, and now I kind of sound like that as well. So yeah, it's hard to understand me. But the thing is that, I think English is really important. You're in a different country where people speak completely different language, and you don't know if what you're saying is appropriate, what you're doing is appropriate, and how do you, when you start a business, obviously there's financial restrictions from immigrating to a new country and all that sort of stuff as well. But I think language is probably the first barrier, which
I think I tick basically all the boxes, right? Woman, migrant, and all of this, so I can share my experience. So I came to Australia 5 years ago, and to be honest, I never worried about English. I thought I have an accent, like, let it be so, and I'll try to, it's not the main thing. I was never concerned, to be honest, about English. I think that what helped me is that I didn't have any entrepreneurial experience back home, so I didn't have, any lines of comparison with how it's done in another country and how it's done in Australia. And I think I try to kind of, live in denial. So I feel there is no, barriers as long as you're not thinking about them. So, yeah. So I think my strategy is just to deny that there are anything like that and just do whatever you need to do and focus on that.
That's actually pretty good. That's actually really good
and
feedback.
Who doesn't understand, who doesn't like it.
It's like trying to avoid the naysayers. Sometimes you just got to put blinders on and be like, I can't see you, can't hear you. Have you found, as another barrier question, so you're all younger entrepreneurs, I think in the grand scheme of things, you're all younger entrepreneurs. Have you found age a barrier in any context you've been in, any business context or otherwise?
For me, especially if I want to talk with clinicians and everything, they don't use doctor for me, they use professor. Right. Because they want to say that you're not a doctor because you're not a medical doctor.
Right.
So yeah, obviously I can feel it, but I think it's good because I'm younger than them. I'm not saying I'm young, but I'm younger than them. But I'm doing what I like to do. So yeah, I've seen it. I noticed it, especially from clinicians.
There's not many under 30 biotech founders, so
Okay, here we go.
Should be more, I think. But
True.
I think sometimes, so the industry that we're working with mainly working initially were fleet managers, and these are 50-year-old blokes who've been in the industry for ages. They drive Holdens, they're proud of what they do, and so basically going in where you're 20, 30 years younger, and having a conversation saying, hey, I've got a solution for you, was a bit of a barrier for us initially. But I think at the end of the day, if you can be convincing enough to say, look, you're wasting a lot of time and money on this, give it a try, get your foot through the door, and then after that, basically convince them that this is the right thing to do, then it's not really a matter of age after that. But maybe the initial context might create some barriers initially.
And so going from age now to vision, what's the vision for you guys? I want to know, kind of get an idea of where you've been, and then when we celebrate 10 years of Incubate, which we'll see, we'll get you back on stage. What's the vision?
So we want to have a day where we can get not only car washing, everything to do with your car done at the push of a button. And while doing that, we're not fucking up the environment. So, at the moment, we're wasting 300 litres of water per car, which is ridiculous. We waste twice the amount of water in the Sydney Harbour every single year to wash cars in Australia. We need to put a stop to that and make it convenient enough where people can get that service done at the push of a button at their time of convenience.
Ali?
Multinational biomed health company solving unmet needs for patients.
Okay.
I can see that. Different applications.
Okay, different applications, yep.
Yeah, so for Bristol, I would say we're aiming to, a foreseeable future, hopefully, to become a world hub for social payments, right? So as we see now is that our brands, influencers, it's all on the rise, and more people are into wanting making transactions wherever they are on social. I mean, like, we all spend our time in social apps, we're all chatting on Facebook, we're all on Instagram, liking all the photos, but there is no real payments, right? Solution where you can click and get it straight away. So we hope to be a kind of hub for all social payments that would be possible between platforms, for anyone, for bloggers, and influencer marketing on the rise. And we see more and more registrations on our platform for bloggers and influencers. Plus, we're like introducing affiliate programs now, when influencers, by selling brands products, they get the clip per sale automatically into the bank account. So we basically close the loop between offering promotion, distribution of the products to the brands, and plus we give opportunities for brands to sell from their own social media, right? So we're basically closing these two things, distribution and plus quick transaction.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, I only got a couple more questions. What was one of your fondest memories going through Incubate?
Funniest?
Fondest.
Okay.
Fondest or funniest? Funniest is fine.
Yeah.
I'll take funniest as well.
I need to think.
You go, Reza.
I actually don't know what fun means, to be honest.
What was one of the best memories going through?
Okay, best memories. I think literally having that first customer close
Yeah.
was a very sweet moment. That gives you a bit of validation to keep pushing on. So that's
When the first one goes, yeah, I'll write you a check.
Exactly.
Ali, what was your one?
I can't say customer. I wish I could.
Yeah.
My first customer will be like 3 years, hopefully. I think the first time was the first time that I built up my cash flow, which was so wrong, but I feel proud about it because I thought that like I can make a business the way that I thought I could make a business. It was absolute crap. I think that was for me because of the nature of my startup was different.
But you also, one of the cool things I remember for you is you actually discovered adjacent markets, right?
Yeah.
So there's this. So this is a really great example for all the future founders out there. Deep tissue, so bone applications, super hard to develop stuff for. But then where did you end up kind of looking into as well?
It was cosmetic applications, and it happens out of blue. I start talking with clinicians, exactly what you like to say. And so by someone introduced me to someone else, and someone else to someone else, they come up with this idea of like using it as a face filler. So what I wanted to do, I want to heal bone, I want to heal cartilage. But basically, if you have a wrinkle, if you popped up under the skin will get the hump, and that sort of essentially will get rid of the wrinkle. Very, very simple way of doing it. In terms of like regulations and like get the cells and everything's just way, way simpler. So that was a very, very fun moment for me. But yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, there's so many things which happen, right? For the first time to us in Perso and Incubate, so many things to remember, to be honest. And I think we took the memories out of Incubate because with many of the teams from our class, we continued further incubation with other startup accelerators, right? So you basically, we still, like, it's not far away memories. We still are, with all these people around, basically, with whom we made friends there. So that's why I'm here today as well, because I think the bond is really cool. So I think it's just a lot of fun, a lot of crazy things happening to you at the same time. So that's really hard to kind of depict one crazy or funniest thing. Or it was
it's all crazy.
Turbulent experience with a lot of up and down.
It's a roller coaster.
Correct.
It's a roller coaster. What's your and then this is your final question. What is your advice to future student entrepreneurs in the audience?
Yeah, I would say execute it as soon as possible. If you have idea, build small product. Don't aim for perfection. Forget about perfection. Roll out something really crappy. Get your first.
It's fine.
Get your first basically client and try execute it and see. Maybe your idea is not. No one needs it, right? So better to know it quicker and faster than to kind of, hold it in your head for a year and then build something, raise money, invest in it, and then burn it all out. Yeah, so have a pragmatical approach, I would say, and try to execute as soon as possible,
Fantastic.
Just do it and build your team as soon as you can. Team is very, very important. Like if I want to do a start all over again, I will build my team earlier.
Build your team earlier?
Yeah, especially your co-founder. It's nothing more important than that.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I think just give it a try. There's really nothing to lose. When I see people that have been working in a startup for 2 to 3 years, and I compare that to people who've been in the corporate for 10 years, even their skill set, the amount of stuff that you learn in the 2 to 3 years, even if you fail miserably, you've learned a lot and you can move on and do something else. A lot of people just want to get it right in the first go. You are gonna, stuff up a few times. It's completely fine.
Fantastic. All right, put our hands together for the panel. Thanks very much.
Thank you very
Great
much.
diversity. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to do a quick stage change, and we're going to move on. So thanks very much. I know there's quite a few people that have entered the room over the last few minutes. If you are looking for a seat, there are a few more seats in the front row here, so feel free to come down and fill them up because we want to have full front seats. So as you know, this is our 5th year celebration, and in the booklets we've got our 5 achievements, and I'm just going to run through quickly the 5 achievements, and then we're going to jump straight into the demo day pitches. Yeah, come down, please fill up the seats. We've got 9 pitches tonight to get through, so it's going to be a rapid fire succession. It's going to be a lot of fun. But the first one we're most proud of for the program is creating Australia's largest student startup accelerator. And we've done that because we've now actually had 80 startups come out of our program and graduated out of the accelerator program, and that's something we're really proud of. It's been an incredible journey iterating and learning how to run these startup programs on campus. Second one, as you can see, Olga right here, transforming researchers to entrepreneurs. One of the things when we started off with is a lot of people thought that there wouldn't be a lot of researchers that'd be interested. In fact, we've seen the exact opposite. 25% of all the people that come through our program are researchers and academics, and they've actually gone on to raise a significant amount of money. Facilitating education, you can't get in a degree. As I said before, there's something different about learning theory to actually executing on your idea, and the intersections are pretty incredible, and that's exactly what our accelerator does. You've got the theory component with your research and your degrees, and then you have your executional component with INCUBATE. And in fact, that's one of our mentoring sessions right there. And we do a lot of these throughout the year, and thousands of hours of mentoring has gone into the startups. Fourth one, creating a new career path. We strongly believe, as Reza actually mentioned on stage, that a career in entrepreneurship or being an entrepreneur is different. Often they try. I always say good entrepreneurs are repeat entrepreneurs. They just keep on trying. Whether or not they're successful doesn't really matter. That's not the point. The point is they like to actually start and build businesses and create value. And lastly, redefining university as an enabler of entrepreneurship. There's been a lot of chat recently about what's the role of universities in startups. And we can tell you right now, it's an enabler. It complements what they do and enables the students to become entrepreneurs and helps them in the very first few months of their journey. In fact, right there is the White Hero tag on an Uber. And so last night, one of our startups who called an Uber randomly sent us a photo because he's like, hey, the Uber driver has your tag on them. You're like, why do you have the tag? Well, the Uber driver swears by the White Hero service. And so that puts a lot of pressure on the startup pitching tonight because one of the future classes are already going really well. But you know you're starting to make an impact when people around the city start to use your products and you can actually see it. So without much further ado, we're going to jump into the pitches. I hope our panelists, our pitches are ready. This is Class 5. Class 5 is our latest batch. There are 9 startups pitching tonight. We're very, very proud of them. Sorry, Class 10. It's Class 10, and it's 5 years of the program. And so without further ado, pitch time. I'd now like to introduce our first presenter, if she's here. Maya, please put a very warm welcome to Maya. Just the big green one.
Sorry, how does it go back?
That one. Forward.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Maya, aeronautical space engineer and PhD in data analytics, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of LearnItHub. At LearnItHub, we aim to use technology to make personalized math teaching available to every student in this world. Now, there's no debate that most students find math hard. And if you're a parent or a math teacher, this is one scene that you have most likely encountered. But I love maths. And I believe to my core, and I've repeatedly proven that any student can learn to become good at maths and see its beauty and simplicity. And it was for this reason that in the first year of our aerospace engineering degree, my co-founder and I started a private maths tutoring company, which has now grown to employ more than 480 tutors, and we have so far tutored more than 10,000 students. Now, we know that one-on-one education is the most effective way to learn, but that can't happen by real tutors. Because good maths teachers are very few, and there's absolutely no way that we can give one maths teacher, good or bad, to every student in this world. To tackle this problem of shortage of good maths teachers, many solutions use video lessons, where a series of curriculum-specific or generic mathematics tutorials are used to teach students maths concepts. But the problem with these videos that are available today is that they're one size fits all, and they're not personalized for each individual student, students' learning needs and style. In our solution, we try to use videos in order to replicate the role of a real tutor. So throughout the lessons, students are asked questions, and then depending on what they know or don't know and the gaps in their knowledge, the videos they see change in order to give them a complete understanding of the topic. So let's see how this actually works by looking at one of our thousands of video lessons. So during the lesson, just like a real tutor would, the tutor inside the video asks the student questions. So here, the student has been asked a question and is answering it. Now, if the student answers it correctly, then the video, in a natural voice, is going to say, "Well done, that's correct," and is going to continue with the rest of the lesson. But if the student answers it incorrectly, then the system is going to find out what gaps the student has in her knowledge, and then the video is going to go through those concepts first before going through more complex things. The beauty of this is that these are all pre-recorded videos, but to the student it feels very much like they're learning from a real tutor because everything is personalized to them. And we have mapped the entire year 12 curriculum, and what we've created is the closest thing that the machine has come to date to replicating a fantastic real tutor. Our business model is a weekly subscription, and we have two pricing tiers. One is $14 per week, which gives you access to our intelligent videos. And the other one is $90 per week, where in addition to that, you have the idea of a flipped classroom, where you also get one-on-one lessons with one of our currently 120 PhD qualified tutors. Now, I'd like to share with you some of our traction. Using our method, our students have been able to go from a failing mark of 30% to a mark in the 80s. We have achieved a 96% customer retention on our premium pricing tier. And we launched publicly 2 months ago, and we have been growing at a 60% weekly rate. But what we're especially proud of is that we've been able to make a huge difference to students that live in disadvantaged or regional areas where they don't have access to good math teachers. And we have awarded 293 scholarships to students from these backgrounds to help them excel in mathematics. Now, what we're asking from you today is to help us help more students by introducing us to the producers of Sunrise or similar TV programs. Our mission is to equip the world with personalized math teaching because we believe mathematics teaches you how to think. And in a world where everyone is a logical thinker, every single person has the ability to change the world. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Well done. Hands together. That's fantastic. Thanks, Maya. Fantastic problem. Highly recommend you go check it out afterwards at the back. Okay, on to the next pitch. Please welcome Siri from Somnium Labs.
go. Hi, my name is Suri, CEO of Somnium Labs and PhD student at the School of Biomedical Engineering. And with my co-founder Taika, we want to make you the most comfortable pillow that you've ever slept on. Sorry. So lying beneath our heads every single night lies an ecosystem of mold, bacteria, and dust mites. It was found in a recent study that a third of our pillows were filled with these germs in addition to dust mites and dead skin. But because our pillows are just way too difficult to wash or can't be washed at all, we tend to ignore the fact that our pillows could be as dirty as a toilet seat. So in addition to poor hygiene, we asked over 100 Australians about what else was frustrating about their pillows, with some talking about their sagging pillows, others talking about pillows that lumped and clumped, and others that talked about the discomfort that they felt when their pillows were just too high or too low. Yes, you can go to Sheridan and buy a nice, fluffy, feathery pillow for $300, but can you really wash your pillow? And will your pillow essentially look like this, yellow and lumpy and clumpy after 2 years? So without further ado, we introduce to you the world's first fillowless pillow using air suspension technology, the Mutu pillow. So one of the key features of the Mutu is that it's completely fillowless, which not only eliminates that space for all those nasties to colonize, but also acts as a great channel for airflow, ensuring that your head can be kept cool throughout the night without any lumping and clumping. The Mutu also boasts a unique air suspension technology, which allows your pillow to be customized in height. This essentially creates a perfectly customized, contoured surface, which cradles the head and thus maximizes your comfort. The Mutu also will never sag, as this unique suspension system can be locked in place, ensuring that your head and neck may be supported adequately throughout the night without fail, and without ever needing to fluff up your pillow again. All this for $150. So after 2 years of development and 5 prototypes, we know we have an MVP that both users and specialists love. In a recent trial, it was found that 20 out of 22 participants found the Mutu more comfortable than their existing pillow, with a physiotherapist saying that the innovation will be invaluable for all patients with neck pain. So where are we right now? Well, we aim to use Kickstarter in order to establish a clear brand, as well as raise funds for mass manufacturing. Once we've gained appropriate traction within our online channels, we then aim to expand into bigger bedding retailer stores, as well as enter the massive mega sleep markets of China, Japan, and Korea by 2022. So to add to the good news, we know we can manufacture the Mutu, as I've personally visited this factory pictured above, in which all assembly, manufacturing, and production will take place. This gives us added certainty that we'll be able to deliver the Mutu to the 200 people who have already signed up as pre-campaign pledges. But first, we need your help to get us there. In order for us to reach our goal of $30,000, all we need from you is to hop onto our website and pre-order now. If you're still skeptical about how great this pillow is, we'd suggest you to see us in the back where we've got a mattress and a pillow set up, and you can see exactly why this pillow has been named the most comfortable pillow ever made. And you can share your experience with our hashtag Mutu. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Siri. Thank you. Thanks very much. I do recommend you go try it. We have been trying it in the hub, and it is extremely comfortable. Our resident entrepreneur will attest to this. Okay, on to the next startup. Our third startup for tonight. Please welcome Peter from Numray.
I'm so glad.
I'm the CEO and co-founder of Numray. So when the ancient Roman physicians strapped an electric fish to the heads of patients suffering from migraines, an electric fish called a Numray, they had this intuition that to treat brain disorders, right, you need to specifically target the brain. right? So this young girl, who I'll call Mary, suffers from a neurological disorder called cerebral palsy, which affects her ability, her brain's ability to control her movement. Now, those electrodes, those big sponges you can see on her head, are part of an exciting new treatment called non-invasive brain stimulation, which applies a tiny current to gently boost the activity in the area of her brain that's associated with, which is damaged by her condition. So, after 10 sessions of non-invasive brain stimulation, Mary's condition drastically improved. And after the treatment had finished, Mary was able to both walk and stand unassisted for the first time in her life. And as an interesting side note about brain stimulation, it's, over the last 10 years, researchers have shown that it's effective in a range of neurological and psychiatric disorders like depression, anxiety, and addiction disorders, and is also useful in, potentially useful in healthy participants to increase cognitive function. But anyway, now, Mary is one of the lucky few people to have received this treatment, as there are over 17 million people worldwide suffering from cerebral palsy. In Australia, making it the most common childhood physical disability, in Australia, the cost of care for the average individual is around $43,000 per year, which adds up to $1.4 billion per year. So why is this not more common treatment? So the ultimate reason for that question is that brain stimulation has a usability problem. So for Mary to have received this treatment, she would have had to go all the way into a specialist lab every day. She would have had her head measured up with these and then these electrodes attached to her head, and then the physician would have got this big box out to deliver the stimulation. So what this means, it's next to impossible for most people to receive this treatment, and any research into brain stimulation is extremely expensive and very time-consuming. So we joined INCUBATE to try and solve this problem. So our device integrates brain stimulation into a single wearable device, and using the specific anatomical features and landmarks across an individual's head, we can accurately line up our electrodes with the target brain regions. So what this means is, a couple of things. One, it means that we can, what would used to require an hour or two in a specialist clinic, and you're only able to receive it in this clinic, we can potentially do in 20 minutes anywhere you want, right? We have currently developing a telemedicine application as well in order to enable remote supervision of that, the remotely supervised therapy. And the other benefit of this is that by selling directly to patients for less than $1,000, we're able to have a drastic improvement in a patient's quality of life for a fraction of the cost of traditional treatments. So one of the most exciting things to come out of the last couple of months is our partnership with the peak body for cerebral palsy, and we'll be beginning feasibility trials in the next couple of months. So the core team at NumRay are myself and my technical co-founder, Dominic Fretz. Now, Dom's a brilliant engineer who's been building underwater robots for the last 6 years for ocean exploration. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here at the moment because he's scuba diving with great whites in the Galapagos Islands. And there's myself. I've been working with neurotechnology for the last 6 or 7 years. I got interested in brains and electricity as a kid, and used to use this device called the TENS machine to send signals into my arms and legs to induce weird sensations and movements. And I graduated in this building a couple of years ago. I'm majoring in neuroscience, psychology, and philosophy, and I'm currently graduating from a Master of Health Technology Innovation. So currently our focus is on developing technology to fix brains, and we're currently seeking mentorship from anyone with experience commercializing or device development for medtech. Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Thanks very much, Peter. Peter's a great example of some of the researchers we get to see and have the pleasure of working with. In fact, his first interview, he came in and told us about how as a kid he played with sheep's and lamb brains. And we're like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, so on to our next startup. Please welcome and put your hands together for Sam from Nutritech. Come on down, Sam. Drum roll. There you go. Thanks very much.
Thanks, James. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sam Houston. I'm co-founder and CEO of Nutritech. We're a medical device company. We weren't quite sure what we were when we arrived at Incubate, but we are sure now we're a medical device company. And our device measures the nutritional status of infants. Malnutrition around the world is an enormous problem. 2.3 million babies under 4 weeks old die every year. And this problem doesn't just exist in the developing world. Looking at a country with a small population like Australia, we've 30,000 babies who go undetected. And they go undetected because essentially we use BMI to detect their status. And that is as poor a measure in infants as it is in adults. And these children have both short-term and long-term risks. Cognitive development issues, motor skills, and language are all affected through poor nutrition. And later in life, obesity-related illness is that stems from poor nutrition as a child. So my co-founder, who has helped with the booth today, he's a professor in biomedical engineering, successfully got a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That grant money was almost $1 million over 4 years, and it's funded our research. And the output is a device and a statistical model which allows us to non-invasively, very accurately measure children's nutritional status at the bedside. We've conducted validation in over 700 subjects in Soweto in South Africa. We've also conducted some trials at RPA, and we're very close now to a clinical trial in Western Sydney, which will not just show the accuracy of the product, but it will show the impact that we can have by modifying these sick children's nutrition. The infant nutrition market is really just developing, but when we entered Incubate, we were really looking at fat measurement market in adjacent streams. That's currently valued at 700. Our estimation, based on our customer interviews at the moment, is that there's a $400 million market just in childhood nutrition measurement. We've achieved a lot over the last 12 weeks. We've finally got an IP license term sheet with Sydney University, and that was a lot of fun. We made some revenue, over $23,000. We flew in an international atomic energy expert to perform further validation and to show the Gates Foundation just how good our product is. We've conducted over 100 customer interviews and determined their likelihood to buy and also their pricing. And as I mentioned before, we're very close to another trial in Western Sydney. Through our interviews, we've determined that the price that customers are prepared to pay for this technology is around $20,000. There are other revenue streams there in maintenance and consumables, and this business will generate over 90 points margin. Extrapolating our findings from the interviews in Australia, just looking at the Western market, we expect there's an opportunity there for 20,000 devices. I'll let you do the math. This is a small subset of our team. Myself and Alistair as co-founders. We have a great advisory board in Ralph and Jenny, so human nutrition experts and also a director of children's health in Western Sydney. So my ask this evening is really twofold. One is for introductions, interstate and international. We've developed great relationships in New South Wales, but we need to expand outside there. The big ask, and really to turn this into a viable business, have product that the medical industry will buy and use, to complete clinical trials, design iterations and get a regulatory approvals, and have a commercially available product with a customer base lining up to buy. We're asking for $1.6 million. I'll leave that with you. If you've got a lazy 1.6, I'd be happy to have a chat with you afterwards. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thanks very much, Sam. That was great. Great presentation. I do not have a lazy 1.6, unfortunately. But other people do, I'm sure. One of the problems that Sam jumped upon, which is the malnutrition, is actually a pretty incredible problem. I highly recommend you go chat to Sam about it. It's, when you kind of realize just how big a problem it is, both in underdeveloped and developed countries, it's just incredible. But onto a more vehicle theme. Please welcome Yang from Connect from Skyrealm, your third room. Come up. Just the big one.
I'm nervous, yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Yang, co-founder and CEO of Skyrealm, a startup focused on developing intelligent vehicle-to-vehicle communication system. This one? Yeah. I'm not a good driver. I run into other cars all the time. The repair cost and time waiting for my car get fixed drive me crazy. I studied automobile engineering and electronic engineering for 6 years. It got me thinking, is there a solution to my life-threatening issue? How about let cars talk with each other? Also, problems we found in current self-driving cars is that they rely heavily on optical sensors and computer vision. But they are not reliable. For example, in bad weather, they can't detect the visual risk clearly. And also, they can't communicate with other cars or collect data from them. Another problem is that lack of early warning system. It means current cars, they have no idea what's happening in front of them. Once there is an emergency stop, the cars behind it have no time to react. Then tragedy happens. We are developing a platform which allows vehicles to communicate with each other directly, sharing their location, speed, and next direction with each other, and without uploading or downloading data through base station. As a result, it can avoid high time delay, unstable signal, and high cost of telecommunication. Here is our prototype, and it's based on the software-defined radio. This is our final commercial version, and in the future, we are going to sell hardware and software license. At present stage, the prototype consists of DSRC module, achieving the basic communication, processor, computing the data, GPS module, acquiring location data, and 4G module, collecting data to the server for cloud computing in the future. Our traction to date. We have already got one pre-order of 5 samples and one signed MOU with 2 more under negotiating, and in discussion with 4 of Chinese top 10 vehicle manufacturers. Comcar is our strategic partner. It's a company developing self-driving technology and funded by NVIDIA. They will provide us vehicles for sample testing and share test data with us and offer technical support. This market will be huge in 5 years, as American and European nations' governments have already announced that all the new vehicles are mandatorily required to equip with V2V communication device by 2023. We are not first to the market, but we can be a fast follower. Who are we? This is Richard Lee. He's a really serious guy, and he's in charge of the hardware part. And this is Bruce Lee. Yeah, Bruce Lee. He knows nothing about Kung Fu, but he has 7 years working experience as an IT manager. Me, hustler, with an electronic engineering master degree and 3 years working experience as project manager. Our vision is to provide a platform which connects every single car and smart device. So what do we ask? We are asking more engineers and developers joining our team, especially hardware designer, software and AI developer, and telecommunication engineer. Also, we hope you to introduce us to more potential customers and partners like Google, Uber, Tesla, and GM. We are also interested in talking to seed investors who have interest in Internet of Things or autonomous vehicles. Thank you. If you are interested in our startup and want to see the demo of our prototype, please feel free to come to our booth and chat with us. At last, I want to thank Incubate Hub and thank Mike, thank James. I learned a lot from them. Yeah. Really.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Yang. Well done.
You.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great pitch. It's really hard just to pitch in English, let alone a second language. So put your hands together for Yang again. That's fantastic. Really good pitch. Okay, on to the next pitch. Please welcome Cindy from Student Feeds.
Thank you. Thanks. Which one's next?
Green one.
Okay, cool. Clearly not a tech startup. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Cindy. I'm the sole founder and CEO of Student Feeds. Now, just a bit of a backstory. I've always been someone that's been really passionate about helping other people. And last year, with my leadership role in high school, I set up a voluntary network of 400 students where every week we'd go out and cook thousands of meals for people in need. So whether this be mothers suffering from postpartum depression or children living in low socioeconomic areas who couldn't cook lunch for themselves. Now, fast forward to this year. It didn't take me too long to realise after I moved into self-catered accommodation that adulting is hard, that students generally had a lot on their plate except for food. They didn't have the skills to cook for themselves, they didn't have the time or energy to do so, which meant that they'd often look to very expensive alternatives like eating out every day in Newtown, which just simply isn't financially sustainable on a student budget. So I decided that there needed to be a simpler, more affordable way for students to access healthy meals across university campuses. So I created Student Feeds, where we aim to improve the affordability of student living by providing $5 and $6 healthy meals across universities. Now, we do this using 3 different distribution methods in which we engage with our customers. So we have an online pre-ordering system. We also have a permanent spot with bar fridges at universities, as well as pop-up stores around universities, which creates more excitement about our product. Now, in the next 5 years, our ultimate vision is to expand to every single university across Australia. We want to be producing 1 million meals every single month. And we want to, have spread the accessibility of our product to 1.4 million tertiary students nationally. We hope to do this by me setting the meals every week, communicating those and the recipes to various chefs who operate from commercial kitchens and which are located around universities where we distribute our meals from. While we'll also have brand ambassadors set up at various universities to promote our brand and product in a physical sense on campus. Now, Student Feeds bridges the unmet need in the market for an affordable, healthy selection of meals that can be conveniently bought on campus. We also, as a student-run startup, have a very personal connection with our customers that no other competitor has. Now, we have a very low cost price of only $6 a meal or 5 for $25, which is achieved through a combination of producing extremely efficiently, cost reduction, and also bulk buying. So we have quite a healthy markup there. Now, to date, we've been able to produce over 1,000 meals here at the University of Sydney, though we plan for this to expand and grow exponentially as we expand to more university campuses. We're very proud of the support that we've received so far, and just one example of this is our amazing team of student foodies, consisting of 7 of us, 3 of which are here today, and they help me out with international student relations, which helps us reach a very specific market of international students, which make up a large proportion of our consumers. But also they help us out with web design, and we have 2 student chefs as well. Now, we're very proud of the support that we've received so far from other businesses in terms of partnerships that we have, and we'd be very open to getting more of these partnerships if any of you have contacts specifically within the food industry that you'd like to introduce me with. And I'd also love to look at office spaces and commercial kitchens, specifically around universities across Australia, if anyone has intros to that as well. Now, I thought we'd end on a sweet note, and I'd like to invite you guys to try some of my brownie, which is back there after these pictures. Other than that, thank you very much.
Well done, Cindy. Fantastic. Thanks very much. Do try the brownies. They're really good. One of the best things about having food startups is the ability to just have always lots of good food around you inside the hub. It's fantastic. Highly recommend you put food startups in incubators. Okay, on to the next startup. Please invite Mobin from Apps on stage today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mobin, and I am CEO and co-founder of Apps. We are making the world's first intelligent design software for the process industries. Industrial processes, as you can see in this image, are complex. They are made of dozens of equipments installed in a specific order to produce the desired products from a range of input components. It requires a team of process engineers working for years to design one of these plants. But because those designs are often unsustainable, emit a lot of emissions to the environment, inefficient, and need to meet new regulations each year, they are in constant need of new designs and design modifications. How do you think process engineers worldwide do those designs today? They refer back to their previous experiences, and they hold lengthy meetings, discuss options, ideas, and they try the ideas in process simulation softwares like the one that you see on the left. And then they set up massive Excel spreadsheets like the one that you see on the right to choose one design. This is tedious, error-prone, expensive, and it takes weeks to be done. But the worst part is the design they come up with is often non-optimal. And there are thousands of these plans worldwide in need of those designs, but they just don't need a design. They need the best possible design because they strive to maximize profit per dollar spent. And that's why they need to use our design software. After 6 years of research and development, today we call our design software AppScene. And here is how it works. The design engineer starts from putting the input parameters, starting from what goes to the plant, the feed specification. For example, a composition of carbon dioxide and nitrogen. And then design constraints, for example, the budget for construction. And lastly, and most importantly, the performance target, which is the ultimate objective of the design. For example, minimizing pollution. And then by click of a button, AppScene takes all of those information and tries hundreds and thousands of designs, learning from each attempt to make the next one better and better till it reaches to the best possible design. So it works in similar fashion, just like a process engineer, but it is significantly faster, reducing months of work to hours. It is free from human error because the design is being done autonomously, and it's free from human bias, which allows truly innovative processes to emerge. In order to make this happen, we had to develop our own unique AI algorithm, which we would like to call self-supervised learning. And we are the first and only company in the world who is doing this. In terms of business model, we are looking at a SaaS model with a selling price of $60,000 per user per year. And of course, providing training to engineers who use our software. And because we've got an excellent team, we provide consultancy services. And the idea is the revenue from consultancy services funds the software development activities of the company. So far, we secured 4 trials for our software. And we've got $14,000 revenue in consultation and 3 projects under negotiation, which worth almost $1 million. And all of this is in the past 8 weeks. Thank you. We've got an awesome team. It includes myself, Professor Ali Abbas from University of Sydney, and Dr. Ali Shafi, who has done his PhD on this topic. We are the process engineer guys, and we've got Ned Farad, the software engineer, who will manage the software development activities of the company. In terms of how you can help us, I would say, please introduce us to key industry players in wastewater treatment, energy, and chemicals industry. We would like to have a non-executive advisor who has experience in software engineering field, and we'd like to have introductions to secure more consultancy contracts. Now, if I manage to attract your attention, please come and talk to us in our booth and see AppScene in action. Thank you very much.
Well done. Great presentation, guys. If you want to see the cutting edge of what AI can actually do to benefits, the benefits to an industry, you have to go chat to them. It's pretty incredible what it unlocks, the potential unlocks. Okay, second last startup for tonight. Please welcome Raphael from EduLink.
Where is? Okay. Hello, my name is Raphael from EducationLink. We're the all-in-one platform for the international education industry. The international education industry in Australia brings 600,000 students per year and is the second largest sector in the world. Different than the United States, 70% of these students come through agents, just like real estate agents. And these agents, they still run majority of their business through Excel spreadsheets. Quite literally, this is a real spreadsheet. So we developed the all-in-one solution, the definitive solution for them to run their business. It's everything they need. They can manage the student life cycle, just like another CRM. They can issue quotes, which currently takes 1 to 2 hours. They can do in 2 minutes, or even less. And they have a full accounting system, integrated with Xero and QuickBooks, which prevents them to lose 20% of their commission, which is they're losing right now. And we help them sell more. We are the only one definitive solution for everything they need to run their business. And in 6 months that we've been operating, we managed to have 20 customers, 3,500 monthly recurring revenue. We are a SaaS business. And through our platform, they already sold more than $20 million in courses. And no customer ever left us. We managed to start working with CI. They're one of the biggest agents in the world. They are the biggest in Brazil. We have 1/3 of their users, and we are planning to roll out to all their organization in the future. And we are present in more than 6 continents, from Africa to Europe. But the goal is not just to help the agents. The goal is to help the whole industry. So we would like to help the education providers, universities, colleges, students, and related services that this industry has, like transfers and insurance. The team, it's me and my business partner, Danny. And I am an international student. I came as an international student. I work at HSBC, Global Projects and Product Management Innovation. Danny, my co-founder, worked at government, education entrepreneur, which is really important for this industry. And we're going to raise $400,000 to fuel our growth, to invest in sales, and to grow global. And that's Education Link. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thanks, Rafi. That's fantastic. Go have a look at their software. It's a really interesting segment, tackling an interesting problem. Okay, our very last startup for tonight. Please give a warm welcome to Andrew from AMSL Aero.
My name's Andrew Moore. I'm the founding director of AMSL Aero, an Australian aircraft manufacturing company. This is a vertiplane. That is, it takes off and lands like a helicopter, but flies like an aeroplane. Take yourself back to the 1950s. Once upon a time, Australia designed and built great aircraft. So the Jindavic could fly at 1,000 kilometres an hour, 30 metres above the ground, in analogue. Decades before the US made drones common. And then we stopped. We intend to bring that back. The Jetsons promised us an age of flying cars, but until now, helicopters have been the only practical vertical flying option. Unfortunately, they're expensive, they're difficult to maintain, and hard to fly, and they're noisy. So I started my life in the Navy, or my career in the Navy, where I ended up as a design engineer for the Sea King helicopter, which is this one here. The replacement cost about $40 million, and I was the design engineer for a fleet of 7. I then went on to to manage a fleet of 13 Squirrel helicopters, which included the full engineering, maintenance, and logistics for the Navy. I then went on to design and build this. So some of the team are here with me tonight. It's a 5-seat helicopter. We built it here in Sydney, but unfortunately, in 18 months. Unfortunately though, helicopters are not the future. I now research electric vertical takeoff flying machines. So we've developed small-scale prototypes, and we have patented the technology. So this is our 5th scale of a system that we're designing for the Army. It carries 150 kilos in and out of a battlefield. But it has other commercial applications. It can be used for moving people around cities or cargo around cities and remote areas. So right now we're focused on a requirement for the Army, which is to design and build something which can fly 100 kilometres, carrying 150 kilos of cargo, and then recovering a critically wounded soldier. So far, we have been down-selected for a smaller surveillance drone, as well as being advised we're being shortlisted for this product you see here today. We expect that this would sell for approximately $1 million, with about 20 units, as well as approximately $5 million a year in ongoing support. But we know there are other commercial applications, whether it be moving people across cities or moving cargo around the world. Right now, an equivalent 2-seat machine could sell for $300,000, and we expect there to be thousands annually in volume. So we're faster than a car, we're faster than helicopters of equivalent size and comparable with most aircraft. And we also have reasonable range. So we're much better than other equivalent electric man carrying drones and roughly equivalent to helicopters. So I have the team that helped me design and build the helicopter that we made previously, and they're ready to go. But I also have the latest and greatest of PhDs and grads from the best aerospace uni in Australia. So right now, we are working on building a product for the Army, but we want to raise $1 million so that we can fast-track the prototyping for commercial applications. So we plan on building the flying car in Australia, and if you want to be part of designing and building the first flying car in this country, then you please come and talk to me after this. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Well done. It's very cool. Got to go check out the models at the back. We also, having seen Andrew's other helicopter, which looks fantastic, by the way, I've decided that I would love to buy that helicopter he made, as well as flying in an Uber taxi, which you create as well. So I'm looking forward to that in the next 5 years when we celebrate Incubate. Okay, that was all the pictures. Put another hands together for all the presenters. What do we think? Was it fun? That was good. There's some really interesting businesses. We are going to go to drinks really soon. Quick reminder, we don't just run this accelerator program that you're seeing the results of. We actually run a few other programs too, in particular our pre-accelerator, which is for all students. And if you're in industry and you want to jump into our pre-accelerator, we're doing a 2-day intensive sneak peek in November. That's a test for us. So if you're interested, you need to come see me or Christopher about that. We also have applications open, so for all the students, researchers, alumni in the room that want to launch a startup and be like the guys you've just seen on stage, please do apply. Applications close November 6th. Be the disruptor, of course. And I'd just like to do a couple of shout-outs to alumni, in particular Peter Liddicoat, who literally last couple nights ago just won the Advanced Australia Award for manufacturing. Peter's startup came out a few classes ago, and he's building an atom microscope, which enables the next generation of material science. And so congratulations, Peter. Put a round of applause for Peter. We also have a few other announcements as well. Iridium Dynamics, also our first drone startup, got into Techstars in Adelaide. In fact, they just pitched at their demo day in Adelaide literally 2 hours ago. So as we were making these slides, I was watching the photos come through. So that's all happening in Adelaide. Earth AI, this is Roman, a researcher. He just raised $500,000 from 2 of Australia's top venture funds. So congratulations to Roman. From 2, Blackbird and Airtree. And Abyss Solutions, who earlier this year raised $1 million as well, so congratulations to them. Also, for us, we're announcing we are partnering up with Microsoft for our pre-accelerator program. More details to come to that, but stay tuned. If you are a student and you want to involve our pre-accelerator, this is going to be a lot of fun. And also, we're getting a new space. I know, it looks fancy. It's lovely. This is going to be the first purpose-built startup hub on this campus, opening next year. So we're really excited about this. This is some of the designs that we've been sent through. And on a personal note, that's me in 2012. I look a lot younger, I think anyway. In fact, this is our first cohort. This was Incubate Class 1. Some of them are here tonight, actually. They're all involved in technology, all involved in high growth ventures. And it was a pleasure to kick off that program back then. I've been managing the program since 2012, since we started, and alongside Joe, who kicked it off and with the support, obviously, from the Student Union, and it's been a fantastic journey. But I'm always telling the startups to think big, to always go that extra mile, think higher, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm launching a new organization for graduate entrepreneurs as well, distinct from Incubate, but helping them on that next stage along. And that's the next part for me. And the reason I'm doing that is because, as you can see in this room, student and young entrepreneurs need a lot of support. And for us to get there, there's actually a lot more work we've got to do. So this will be my last Incubate demo day as program manager. I'm going to be switching to an advisory role next year to help incubate. I'll still be involved in the next class, so don't worry, we'll still be there mentoring the teams. But that's on a personal note. Now, the reason we can do this is not because it's about me, but because we actually have a whole team. It's no longer just me. In fact, there's Christopher on the left-hand corner there, who's our latest recruit, who's running our pre-accelerator. There's Joe, our director, who's been with us since the very beginning. There's Lizette, who made all of this possible tonight, so please put your hands together for Lizette. There's Mike, our very experienced resident entrepreneur, who always is telling the startups that they can do better and helping them along. Our two awesome student coordinators, and not on here are two other resident entrepreneurs as well, Natasha and Bede. So put your hands together for the team. It's great to work with them. And we're hiring. We're actually hiring a lead resident entrepreneur for our next batch of startups, what we call Class 11, which kicks off in January. So if you are interested in being a resident entrepreneur, come chat to me. And one more thing, sorry, before we get to drinks, we can't do a 5th year birthday without a massive group selfie. So I'm going to ask the startups to come up here, and you guys are in this selfie, by the way. So do not move. Startups, please come up, and we're going to get everyone involved in this. So bear with me for 2 seconds. All right. Where are the startups? We're actually doing this, by the way, guys. I know. Very millennial thing to do. It's fine. Yes, I know. We've even got a selfie stick and everything. And we're going to have our lovely photographer. Okay. All right, so you guys are going to have to get down just a little bit. Okay. Cool. And everyone in the back, you might want to stand up if you're in the back row because you're going to be in this. Okay. Are we ready? Yes? Can we get a yes? There we go. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Fantastic. One more time. And your hands in the air. Let's get some noise. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for indulging me, and well done.
So do we do a group photo?
Yep, group photo. Drinks are at the back. Our startups will be back there. If you're a startup, you need to be on stage for a photo. Please enjoy yourselves, and we'll chat to you soon.
We're going to just get a photo. Right, everybody up.
That works.
Yeah. It's worth every 50.
Yeah. Thank you.